In the hushed corridors of Buckingham Palace, where centuries of royal tradition echo through marble halls, a single piece of jewelry holds the power to unite generations of queens, duchesses, and princesses. It is not the largest diamond, nor the most expensive crown jewel, but its significance runs deeper than mere monetary value. The Cartier Halo Tiara carries within its delicate scrollwork the dreams of three remarkable women, each of whom wore it during the most transformative moments of their lives. When Catherine Middleton first glimpsed this ethereal creation of diamonds and platinum, she could never have imagined that she would become its most famous wearer, or that every time she placed it upon her head, she would be continuing a legacy that began nearly a century ago. This is not just the story of a tiara, but the tale of how one woman's choices in wearing it would captivate the world and reveal the profound meaning behind every royal decision. What makes a simple piece of jewelry become a symbol of hope, tradition, and the future of the monarchy itself? The answer lies in the extraordinary journey of three women, one tiara, and the moments that changed everything. The year was 1936, and the world was watching as a love story unfolded that would shake the very foundations of the British monarchy. King George VI, never meant to be king, found himself thrust into a role he never wanted when his brother Edward VIII abdicated the throne for love. In the midst of this royal crisis, a young Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, stood beside her husband with unwavering grace and determination. It was during this turbulent time that King George VI made a decision that would create one of the most beloved pieces in the royal collection. The king wanted to give his wife something special, something that would symbolize not just his love for her, but his gratitude for the sacrifices she was making for the crown. He approached the renowned jewelers Cartier with a specific vision in mind. He wanted a tiara that would be elegant yet understated, one that could be worn by his daughters when they came of age, and by future generations of royal women. The piece should embody the values of the monarchy itself, timeless, dignified, and beautiful in its simplicity. Cartier's master craftsmen worked tirelessly to bring the king's vision to life. They created a delicate halo design using 739 brilliant-cut diamonds and 149 baguette diamonds, all set in platinum. The design featured intricate scrollwork that seemed to dance in the light, with each diamond carefully positioned to create maximum brilliance without overwhelming the wearer. The tiara was designed to sit like a gentle crown of light upon the head, earning it the name Halo Tiara. When Queen Elizabeth first wore the completed tiara, those present said she seemed to glow with an inner radiance. The piece perfectly complemented her natural beauty and dignified bearing. She wore it to several important state occasions during the late 1930s and early 1940s, each time adding to its growing reputation as a tiara that brought out the best in its wearer. But the Queen Mother understood that this piece was meant for more than just her own use. She had always been a woman who thought deeply about legacy and the future of the monarchy. She could envision her daughters wearing this tiara, and perhaps their daughters after them. There was something about its design that seemed to transcend fashion trends and royal protocol. It was a piece that could adapt to any era while maintaining its essential character. During World War II, as London endured the Blitz and the royal family remained in the city to show solidarity with their people, the tiara was carefully stored away for safekeeping. The Queen Mother often spoke of how she looked forward to the day when peace would return and the tiara could once again grace royal occasions. She saw it as a symbol of hope and continuity during those dark years. The post-war years brought new opportunities for the tiara to shine. As Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret grew into young women, they occasionally borrowed pieces from their mother's collection for special events. The Cartier Halo Tiara became a favorite of both princesses, though each wore it with her own unique style. Princess Elizabeth, serious and duty-focused even as a young woman, wore it with the gravity that would later characterize her reign as Queen Elizabeth II. Princess Margaret, more bohemian and artistic, brought a different energy to the piece, showing how the same tiara could reflect different personalities while maintaining its essential elegance. The Queen Mother was particularly pleased to see how the tiara photographed. In an era when royal imagery was becoming increasingly important, she understood that jewelry needed to work not just in person but also in photographs that would be seen around the world. The Cartier Halo Tiara seemed to capture and reflect light in a way that made it perfect for the camera, creating a luminous halo effect that lived up to its name. As the 1940s gave way to the 1950s, royal watchers began to notice that the Queen Mother had a special fondness for this particular piece. Unlike some of the more formal state jewelry, the halo tiara seemed to represent something more personal and intimate. It was the piece she chose for family celebrations and smaller state occasions where she could express more of her personal style. The tiara's reputation grew throughout the royal circles and among jewelry enthusiasts. Fashion magazines began to take notice of this elegant piece that seemed to enhance rather than overshadow its wearer. Unlike some royal jewelry that could appear heavy or ostentatious, the Cartier halo tiara struck the perfect balance between grandeur and grace. The Queen Mother often reflected on her husband's wisdom in commissioning this piece. King George VI had somehow understood that the future of the monarchy would require a different kind of royal jewelry, pieces that could convey majesty while remaining accessible to the public imagination. The halo tiara embodied these qualities perfectly. As her granddaughter Princess Elizabeth prepared for her own role as queen, the Queen Mother began to think about which pieces from her collection might one day be passed down. She wanted each piece to go to someone who would understand and appreciate its significance. The Cartier halo tiara, with its history of bringing out the best in its wearers and its perfect balance of elegance and dignity, seemed destined for something special. The jewelry had already witnessed some of the most important moments in modern royal history. It had been present during the transformation of a reluctant king into a beloved monarch, had weathered a world war, and had graced the heads of 2 future queens. But, perhaps most importantly, it had established itself as a piece that could adapt to changing times while maintaining its essential character. Royal jewelers and historians were already beginning to recognize the Cartier halo tiara as one of the most significant pieces commissioned in the 20th century. Its relatively modest size and elegant design made it approachable, while its impeccable craftsmanship and royal provenance ensured its importance in the collection. The Queen Mother understood that jewelry, particularly royal jewelry, carries the weight of history and the promise of the future. Each time she wore the halo tiara, she was not just making a fashion choice but participating in the ongoing story of the monarchy itself. The piece had become a bridge between the traditions of the past and the possibilities of the future. Little did she know that this tiara, born from a king's love for his queen during a time of unprecedented change, would one day play a starring role in one of the most watched royal events in history, worn by a young woman who would capture the world's imagination and help define the monarchy for a new generation. The 1950s and 1960s marked a golden age for royal glamour, and Princess Margaret was at its center. Beautiful, charismatic, and with an eye for fashion that rivaled any Hollywood star, Margaret brought a new kind of attention to royal jewelry. When she wore the Cartier halo tiara, she transformed it from a stately piece of royal regalia into something that seemed to embody the spirit of a changing era. Princess Margaret had always been drawn to the halo tiara's unique character. Unlike some of the more traditional pieces in the royal collection, this tiara seemed to have a personality all its own. It was substantial enough to command respect at state occasions, yet delicate enough to complement her petite frame and striking features. When Margaret wore it, she seemed to bring out qualities in the piece that others hadn't noticed before. The first time Margaret wore the tiara to a major public event was at a gala performance at Covent Garden in 1951. The photographs from that evening would become iconic, showing the young princess in a stunning white gown with the tiara creating an almost ethereal frame for her face. The way the diamonds caught the theater lights seemed to create a living crown of stars, and the public response was immediate and enthusiastic. Fashion editors around the world took notice. Here was a piece of royal jewelry that didn't overwhelm or diminish its wearer, but instead seemed to enhance her natural beauty and personality. The tiara became a favorite subject for royal photographers, who found that its delicate design photographed beautifully from every angle. Whether captured in formal portraits or candid moments at state events, the halo tiara seemed to add an element of magic to every image. Margaret's wearing of the tiara coincided with a period when royal fashion was becoming increasingly important in the public consciousness. The post-war years had brought new prosperity and a hunger for glamour, and people looked to the royal family to provide both. Margaret, with her impeccable style and natural beauty, was perfectly positioned to meet this need, and the Cartier halo tiara became one of her signature pieces. The tiara appeared at some of the most memorable royal events of the 1950s and 1960s. Margaret wore it to state banquets where visiting dignitaries would comment on its exceptional beauty. She chose it for premieres and galas where it would be photographed alongside some of the most famous faces of the era. Each appearance added to the tiara's growing reputation as a piece that could hold its own in any setting. What made Margaret's relationship with the tiara particularly special was how she seemed to understand its character instinctively. She never over-accessorized when wearing it, instead allowing the piece to be the star while choosing complementary earrings and necklaces that enhanced rather than competed with the tiara's brilliance. Her stylists often commented on how the princess seemed to know exactly what worked with the halo tiara and what didn't. The 1960s brought new challenges and opportunities for the royal family as Britain underwent significant social and cultural changes. Traditional institutions were being questioned, and the monarchy needed to find ways to remain relevant while maintaining its essential dignity. Margaret, as the more publicly visible of the Queen's sister, played a crucial role in this evolution, and her choice of jewelry became part of the conversation. The Cartier halo tiara proved to be perfectly suited to this transitional period. Its design was classical enough to respect tradition, yet modern enough to appeal to younger generations who were reshaping British society. When Margaret wore it to events that brought together traditional aristocracy and the emerging cultural elite, the tiara seemed to bridge different worlds effortlessly. Royal historians began to take notice of how certain pieces of jewelry could embody the changing nature of the monarchy itself. The halo tiara, with its perfect balance of grandeur and accessibility, became a subject of study for those trying to understand how royal symbolism was evolving. Margaret's wearing of the piece was seen as representing a monarchy that could embrace change while honoring its heritage. The tiara's fame spread beyond Britain's borders as Margaret's international profile grew. When she traveled abroad, foreign press would often focus on her jewelry choices, and the halo tiara became recognized as one of the finest examples of modern royal craftsmanship. Jewelry designers around the world began creating pieces inspired by its delicate halo design, though none could match the original's perfect proportions and exceptional diamonds. Margaret's personal life, always a subject of intense public interest, added another dimension to the tiara's story. When she wore it to events during her highly publicized relationship with photographer Anthony Armstrong-Jones, the press paid particular attention to her jewelry choices. The tiara seemed to reflect Margaret's own complexity, traditional yet modern, elegant yet accessible, timeless yet very much of its moment. The engagement and wedding of Margaret to Armstrong-Jones in 1960 marked a significant moment for royal jewelry traditions. While Margaret chose the Poltimore tiara for her wedding day, the Cartier halo tiara remained one of her favorites for other special occasions. The contrast between her wedding tiara choice and her continued preference for the halo tiara showed how different pieces could serve different purposes in royal life. Throughout the 1960s, as Britain experienced unprecedented cultural change, Margaret continued to wear the halo tiara to events that showcased the monarchy's engagement with contemporary society. Whether attending film premieres, art gallery openings, or charity galas, she chose the tiara for occasions that required a perfect balance of royal dignity and modern appeal. The tiara's association with Margaret also contributed to its growing reputation among jewelry connoisseurs. Her impeccable taste and natural flair for fashion meant that her endorsement of any piece carried significant weight. When Margaret consistently chose the halo tiara for important occasions, it signaled to the fashion world that this was a piece of exceptional quality and significance. As the 1960s drew to a close, the Cartier halo tiara had established itself as one of the most recognizable and admired pieces in the royal collection. Margaret's years of wearing it had transformed it from a beautiful but relatively unknown piece into an internationally recognized symbol of royal elegance. The tiara had proven its versatility, its photogenic qualities, and its ability to enhance any wearer while maintaining its own distinct character. The Queen Mother watched with satisfaction as her beloved tiara continued to bring joy and elegance to royal occasions. Margaret's relationship with the piece had validated her late husband's vision of creating jewelry that could serve the monarchy well through changing times. The halo tiara had proven that it could adapt to different personalities and different eras while always maintaining its essential qualities of beauty, elegance, and dignity. As Margaret's role in royal life began to shift in the 1970s, many wondered who would next have the privilege of wearing this extraordinary piece. The tiara had already served two generations of royal women well, enhancing their natural beauty while adding to its own legend. But, its greatest moment, the occasion that would make it known around the world and cement its place in royal history, was still to come. The first time Catherine Middleton stepped foot inside the private quarters of Buckingham Palace as Prince William's girlfriend, she could never have imagined that she was beginning a journey that would lead her to become one of the most photographed and admired women in the world. The year was 2005, and, while their relationship was still relatively private, those close to the royal family could already sense that this young woman from Berkshire was different from previous royal girlfriends. Catherine's introduction to royal life was gradual and carefully managed. Unlike some previous relationships that had been conducted under intense media scrutiny from the beginning, William and Catherine had been allowed to develop their connection away from the public eye during their university years at St. Andrews. This meant that when Catherine began to appear at royal events, she was already comfortable with William and confident in their relationship. Her background was unlike that of many previous royal brides. The daughter of successful entrepreneurs who had built their party planning business from the ground up, Catherine brought a middle-class perspective to the aristocratic world of the royal family. She had grown up understanding the value of hard work, family loyalty, and maintaining grace under pressure, qualities that would serve her well in her future role. When Catherine first began attending private royal events, those who met her were struck by her natural elegance and composure. She had an innate sense of style that seemed to complement rather than compete with royal traditions. Her choices in clothing and accessories showed respect for protocol while maintaining her own personality, a balance that many found refreshing and appealing. The Queen Mother, now in her final years, had the opportunity to meet Catherine several times at family gatherings. Though she was no longer regularly wearing her tiara collection, she watched with interest as this young woman navigated the complexities of royal life. There was something about Catherine's grace and dignity that reminded the Queen Mother of her own early years in the royal family, and she often commented to family members that Catherine had the qualities necessary to serve the monarchy well. As Catherine's relationship with William became more serious, she began to receive informal guidance about royal customs and expectations. This wasn't the formal training that would come later, but rather gentle introductions to the way things were done within the family. She learned about the significance of various traditions, the importance of certain protocols, and the deep meaning behind many of the symbols and ceremonies that defined royal life. One area that particularly fascinated Catherine was the royal jewelry collection. During private family events, she would often see family members wearing pieces with centuries of history behind them. Each tiara, necklace, and bracelet seemed to carry the stories of the remarkable women who had worn them before. Catherine began to understand that royal jewelry wasn't just about beauty or status, but about continuity, tradition, and the deep connections that bound the royal family together across generations. The engagement speculation that surrounded Catherine and William for several years meant that she was increasingly in the public eye, even when they weren't officially engaged. Every outfit choice, every public appearance, every gesture was analyzed and discussed by media around the world. Catherine handled this pressure with remarkable composure, developing the thick skin and steady nerves that would be essential for her future role. During this period, Catherine also began to develop her own sense of style that would later become so influential. She had an instinct for choosing pieces that were elegant without being ostentatious, classic without being boring, and appropriate for each occasion while still reflecting her personality. Fashion observers began to notice that Catherine had a particular talent for wearing jewelry. She seemed to understand how to choose pieces that enhanced her natural beauty without overwhelming her features. When Catherine attended her first major royal event as William's official guest, the wedding of Peter Phillips in 2008, her appearance was scrutinized by fashion experts and royal watchers around the world. She chose her outfit and accessories with careful consideration, understanding that this was an important moment in her gradual introduction to official royal life. Her choices that day showed a deep respect for royal traditions combined with her own personal style. The years of waiting and speculation about their engagement gave Catherine time to observe and learn from other members of the royal family. She watched how different family members handled various situations, how they balanced their public and private lives, and how they used their platform to support causes they cared about. This period of observation would prove invaluable in preparing her for her own role. Catherine's relationship with William's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, developed gradually but warmly. The Queen, known for her keen judgment of character, appreciated Catherine's respectful demeanor and her genuine affection for William. More importantly, the Queen could see that Catherine understood the seriousness of the role she might one day be called to fill. There was no sense that Catherine was seeking royal life for glamour or status, but rather that she was prepared to embrace its responsibilities out of love for William and respect for the institution. As the 2000s drew to a close, it became increasingly clear that Catherine and William's relationship was building toward something permanent. Catherine had successfully navigated the challenges of being a royal girlfriend, had earned the respect and affection of the royal family, and had shown herself capable of handling the intense media attention that would only increase if they became engaged. The question that began to occupy royal watchers was not whether Catherine and William would marry, but when the engagement would be announced and what kind of royal bride Catherine would become. Her years of preparation had shown that she had the intelligence, grace, and strength of character necessary for royal life, but her true test would come when she officially joined the family. During quiet moments at family gatherings, Catherine would sometimes find herself looking at the portraits of previous royal brides that lined the walls of the royal residences. Each woman had faced her own challenges, had brought her own strengths to the role, and had contributed to the ongoing story of the monarchy. Catherine began to understand that she would soon need to find her own way of serving the crown while remaining true to herself. The royal jewelry collection, with its centuries of history and tradition, represented one of the most visible ways that Catherine would connect with her predecessors and with the institution itself. She knew that one day she might have the privilege of wearing pieces that had adorned some of the most remarkable women in British history. The thought was both thrilling and daunting, representing as it did the weight of history and the expectations of the future. As 2010 began, Catherine had no way of knowing that this would be the year that would change her life forever, or that she would soon be choosing from among the royal family's most precious tiaras for one of the most watched royal weddings in history. Her years of preparation had given her the foundation she would need, but nothing could have fully prepared her for the moment when she would step from private citizen to public figure on one of the world's biggest stages. The announcement of Prince William and Catherine Middleton's engagement on November 16, 2010, sent shockwaves of excitement around the world. After years of speculation and waiting, the couple had finally made their relationship official, setting the stage for what would become one of the most watched royal weddings in history. From the moment the engagement was announced, every detail of the upcoming wedding became a matter of intense public interest, with Catherine's choice of tiara among the most eagerly anticipated decisions. The engagement itself had taken place during a private holiday in Kenya, where William had proposed with his mother's famous sapphire and diamond engagement ring. This choice immediately signaled Catherine's connection to Diana, Princess of Wales, and set the tone for a wedding that would honor the past while looking toward the future. The ring's history and significance meant that Catherine was already carrying forward one important piece of royal jewelry tradition, adding weight to whatever tiara choice she would make. In the weeks following the engagement announcement, speculation about Catherine's wedding tiara reached fever pitch. Royal jewelry experts offered opinions about which piece would be most suitable, fashion magazines analyzed the merits of various options, and betting shops even took wagers on the final choice. The decision was far more complex than many realized, involving considerations of tradition, personal preference, practicality, and the message that the choice would send to the world. The process of choosing a wedding tiara began several months before the ceremony, during private consultations between Catherine, Queen Elizabeth II, and Angela Kelly, the Queen's senior dresser and close confidant. These meetings took place in the private apartments at Buckingham Palace, where Catherine was given the opportunity to try on several of the most suitable pieces from the royal collection. Each tiara brought its own history, its own character, and its own practical considerations. The first option considered was the George IV state diadem, one of the most recognizable pieces in the collection. This tiara, with its distinctive cross-patine and floral motifs, had been worn by Queen Elizabeth II at her own coronation and appeared on stamps and currency around the world. However, its size and formal nature made it less suitable for a bride who wanted to maintain some sense of personal style within royal tradition. Another serious contender was the Queen Mary fringe tiara, the same piece that Queen Elizabeth II had worn at her own wedding in 1947. This choice would have created a direct connection between Catherine's wedding and that of the current queen, emphasizing continuity and tradition. However, the fringe tiara's dramatic vertical design might have overwhelmed Catherine's more delicate features and the style of dress she had chosen. The lover's knot tiara, famously worn by Diana, Princess of Wales, was also considered but ultimately felt to carry too much emotional weight. While honoring Diana's memory was important to both William and Catherine, they wanted Catherine to establish her own identity rather than being seen as stepping directly into Diana's role. The choice needed to acknowledge the past while allowing Catherine to begin writing her own chapter in royal history. It was during one of these private consultations that the Cartier halo tiara emerged as the perfect choice. When Catherine first tried it on, there was an immediate sense that this was the right piece. The tiara seemed to have been waiting for her, its delicate proportions perfectly complementing her bone structure and the style of the Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen gown she had chosen. The Queen and Angela Kelly both recognized immediately that they had found the perfect match. The Cartier halo tiara offered several advantages that made it ideal for Catherine's wedding. Its size was substantial enough to photograph well in Westminster Abbey and on television screens around the world, yet delicate enough not to overwhelm a first-time tiara wearer. The halo design would work beautifully with Catherine's veil, creating a frame that would enhance rather than compete with her natural beauty. Most importantly, the tiara had a history that aligned perfectly with Catherine's story. The fact that the tiara had been commissioned by King George VI as a symbol of love for Queen Elizabeth made it particularly appropriate for a love match like Catherine and William's. Unlike some royal marriages that had been primarily dynastic alliances, theirs was clearly a union based on genuine affection and compatibility. The tiara's romantic origins resonated with this narrative, adding emotional depth to what might otherwise have been simply a practical choice. The Queen's decision to lend Catherine the Cartier halo tiara was seen by royal experts as a significant gesture of acceptance and affection. The piece had been in the Queen Mother's personal collection, making it one of the more intimate pieces in the royal treasury rather than a formal state jewel. By choosing this tiara for Catherine, Queen Elizabeth II was welcoming her into the family in the most personal way possible. The practical considerations were also important. The tiara's platinum setting would complement the silvertone embroidery and lace details of Catherine's dress perfectly. Its relatively moderate height meant that it would work well with the car journey to Westminster Abbey and the various ceremonial movements required during the wedding service. The piece had also proven its photogenic qualities during its years with Princess Margaret, ensuring that it would look spectacular in the countless photographs and video footage that would document the day. As April 29, 2011, approached, the secrecy around Catherine's tiara choice was maintained absolutely. Even many members of the royal household were kept in the dark about the final selection, with only a handful of people knowing which piece had been chosen. This secrecy added to the anticipation and ensured that the moment when Catherine first appeared wearing the tiara would have maximum impact. The morning of the wedding brought perfect spring weather and unprecedented global attention. An estimated 2 billion people around the world were expected to watch the ceremony, making every detail of Catherine's appearance a matter of international interest. The pressure was enormous, but Catherine had spent months preparing for this moment and felt confident in all of her choices, including the tiara. When Catherine arrived at Westminster Abbey and stepped out of the Rolls-Royce Phantom 6, the first glimpse of the Cartier halo tiara took the breath away from royal watchers around the world. The piece looked absolutely perfect, creating exactly the effect that everyone had hoped for. The diamonds caught the light beautifully, the proportions were ideal for both Catherine's features and the grandeur of the setting, and the overall effect was one of timeless elegance. Royal jewelry experts immediately recognized the significance of the choice. The tiara's history, its connection to the Queen Mother, and its perfect suitability for Catherine's style and the occasion made it clear that this selection had been made with great care and consideration. The choice honored royal tradition while allowing Catherine to express her own personality and style. The wedding ceremony itself provided the perfect showcase for the tiara's beauty and significance. As Catherine moved through the various parts of the service, the tiara remained perfectly positioned, never distracting from the solemnity of the occasion while adding the appropriate level of royal magnificence. The piece photographed beautifully from every angle, ensuring that images of Catherine wearing it would become iconic. The success of Catherine's tiara choice was evident in the immediate global response. Fashion experts praised the selection, royal historians appreciated the thoughtfulness behind the decision, and the general public fell in love with both the tiara and Catherine's overall bridal look. The Cartier Halo Tiara had found its perfect moment, and Catherine had found the perfect piece to mark her transformation from commoner to princess. As Catherine and William left Westminster Abbey as husband and wife, the Cartier Halo Tiara had achieved a new level of fame and significance. It was no longer simply a beautiful piece from the royal collection, but an integral part of one of the most memorable royal weddings in history. The tiara had helped create a moment of magic that would be remembered and celebrated for generations to come. The years following Catherine's wedding transformed both the new Princess of Wales and the Cartier Halo Tiara into global icons. The success of that perfect April day in 2011 had established Catherine as a fashion and style leader, while the tiara had achieved a level of recognition that few pieces of jewelry ever attain. But the real test of their partnership would come in the years that followed, as Catherine grew into her royal role and the tiara became a symbol of the modern monarchy. Catherine's approach to royal jewelry in the years after her wedding revealed a thoughtful and strategic mind. She understood that every piece she wore carried meaning and sent messages, both to the British public and to the world watching her every move. Her choice to wear the Cartier Halo Tiara for subsequent major occasions showed her appreciation for continuity and her respect for the piece that had played such an important role in her transformation into a royal. The tiara's next major public appearance came at a state banquet in 2015, hosted for the visiting president of China. Catherine's decision to wear the Halo Tiara for this significant diplomatic occasion demonstrated her understanding of how jewelry could support the monarchy's soft power on the international stage. The tiara's elegance and history made it perfect for showing respect to visiting dignitaries while representing the best of British craftsmanship and royal tradition. The way Catherine wore the tiara at the state banquet also showed how much she had grown in confidence since her wedding day. She moved with the assurance of someone who had fully embraced her role, and the tiara seemed to have become a natural part of her royal persona rather than an ornament she was borrowing. Fashion experts noted how perfectly she had learned to balance the tiara with other jewelry, creating cohesive looks that honored royal protocol while expressing her personal style. Royal watchers began to notice that Catherine had developed a particular affinity for the Cartier Halo Tiara that went beyond its significance to her wedding day. Unlike some royals who rotated through different tiaras depending on the occasion, Catherine seemed to return to the Halo Tiara for moments of particular importance. This consistency helped establish it as her signature piece, creating a visual continuity that strengthened her brand and made her instantly recognizable at formal events. The tiara's association with Catherine also brought it into the modern digital age in ways that previous generations of royal jewelry had never experienced. Every time Catherine wore the piece, high-definition photographs captured every facet of every diamond, allowing people around the world to appreciate its craftsmanship in unprecedented detail. Social media platforms buzzed with admiration for the tiara whenever it appeared, creating a global community of royal jewelry enthusiasts who followed Catherine's choices closely. This digital attention had an unexpected effect on the jewelry industry itself. The Cartier Halo Tiara's design influenced countless wedding tiaras and formal jewelry pieces, as designers tried to capture some of its magic for their own clients. Replica versions appeared in costume jewelry collections, allowing brides around the world to feel a connection to Catherine's style. The tiara had transcended its original purpose to become a cultural phenomenon. Catherine's wearing of the tiara also contributed to important conversations about the role of jewelry in modern royal life. Fashion historians pointed out how her choices reflected a more accessible and relatable approach to royal style, one that honored tradition while remaining connected to contemporary life. The Halo Tiara, with its perfect balance of grandeur and approachability, embodied this new direction for royal fashion. The tiara appeared again at several other significant occasions throughout the 2010s, each time adding to its legend and strengthening its association with Catherine. A particularly memorable appearance came at the 2017 state banquet for the Spanish royal family, where Catherine wore it alongside the diamond Riviere necklace, creating one of her most photographed and admired jewelry combinations. The way she carried herself at these events showed a woman who had not only grown comfortable with royal protocol but had made it her own. Behind the scenes, Catherine's relationship with the royal jewelry collection had deepened considerably since her wedding day. She had spent time learning about the history and provenance of various pieces, understanding not just their beauty but their significance to the monarchy and the nation. Her appreciation for the Cartier Halo Tiara was informed by this broader knowledge, making her choice to wear it repeatedly even more meaningful. The Queen's continued lending of the tiara to Catherine for important occasions was seen by royal experts as a sign of deep trust and affection. Royal jewelry loans are carefully considered, and the fact that Catherine had been given what amounted to permanent access to one of the collection's most beloved pieces spoke volumes about her standing within the family and her success in her royal role. As Catherine became more involved in royal duties and charitable work, the tiara took on additional significance as a symbol of her commitment to service. When she wore it to events supporting causes close to her heart, the piece helped elevate these occasions and draw attention to important issues. The tiara had become a tool in Catherine's work, helping her use fashion and royal tradition to support her humanitarian efforts. The birth of Catherine and William's children added another dimension to the tiara's story. Royal watchers began to speculate about whether the piece might one day be worn by Princess Charlotte, continuing its tradition of adorning royal brides across generations. This possibility added to the tiara's mystique and ensured continued interest in its appearances and significance. International fashion magazines regularly featured the Cartier Halo tiara in articles about royal style and jewelry trends. Its frequent appearances on best-dressed lists and style retrospectives helped maintain global interest in both Catherine and the British royal family. The tiara had become an ambassador for British culture and craftsmanship, representing the best of both historical tradition and contemporary relevance. The tiara's influence extended beyond fashion into broader cultural conversations about tradition, continuity, and the role of symbols in modern life. Academic papers were written analyzing its significance, museum exhibitions included discussions of its importance, and it became a case study in how historical objects could maintain relevance across changing times. As Catherine entered her second decade as a member of the royal family, her relationship with the Cartier Halo tiara had evolved into something that went far beyond simple fashion choices. The piece had become part of her identity as a royal, a symbol of her journey from middle-class woman to future queen, and a bridge between the monarchy's past and its future. The tiara's appearance at Catherine's most recent formal occasions continued to generate excitement and admiration. Each wearing was analyzed by fashion experts and celebrated by royal enthusiasts, proving that the magic combination of Catherine and the Halo tiara remained as compelling as ever. The piece had helped define Catherine's royal style while she, in turn, had given it a new chapter in its already remarkable story. Looking toward the future, the Cartier Halo tiara seems destined to remain one of the most important and beloved pieces in the royal collection. Its association with Catherine has ensured its place in royal jewelry history, while its timeless design suggests that it will continue to enhance royal occasions for generations to come. The perfect partnership between a thoughtful princess and a remarkable piece of jewelry has created a legacy that will endure long after both have passed into history. The story of the Cartier Halo tiara and Catherine, Princess of Wales, demonstrates the power of jewelry to carry meaning across generations and to help define the visual narrative of the monarchy itself. Through careful choices and thoughtful wearing, Catherine has honored the tiara's history while creating new traditions that will influence how royal jewelry is understood and appreciated for years to come.